about the leadership, ethics, and culture at Netflix. Tonight we're continuing the discussion with a look at Reed Hastings' decision-making, power in politics, and quantitative performance. So grab some eggnog, put your favorite Christmas sweater on, and stay tuned for a very special edition of Talking Heads.
First, I sat down with expert strategist Andres Colon to talk about the recent decisions at Netflix. Today we have Andres Colon joining us to talk about the decision-making process of Netflix. Hi Andres, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Obviously, Netflix has been on the news recently for their management decisions. Can you elaborate more on these decisions, please?
Yes, that is correct. CEO Reed Hastings stated that he wanted to divide the company into two, rebranding the DVD by mail service as Quickster and the online streaming remain as Netflix.
Customers didn't really like that, did they?
Definitely not. Customers actually felt overwhelmed with this, overwhelmingly negative. In the case that they had to work with two different websites, two different username and passwords, two different credit card bills, it all got too complicated for them.
I see. And what was the goal of Netflix at this point?
They thought it would be a good idea to get the two companies separated, since it would be a benefit in the long term. But obviously when they made this decision, they didn't consider what the customer experience was going to be. And as soon as they heard the feedback on this, the customer experiences, they quickly backed out of the plan.
Okay, and what do you think was the major setback in this decision?
I believe definitely time. They moved too fast. Reed Hastings has been known to consider time and take time for these decisions, and for this decision it clearly doesn't demonstrate that. They now want to reset where they were as a simple and easy service for their subscribers.
And what do you think will help Netflix get back on top?
Well, definitely they already started to make some changes. They took the decision of eliminating Quickster, basically. So it's not going to be two accounts, two emails, two usernames, two passwords. It's just going to be the simple Netflix.com. The DVDs are just going to stay where they were.
Well, that will help. Do you think Reed uses heuristics?
Well, heuristics are shortcuts that managers use to basically save mental activity. They tend to lead themselves from what has worked in the past. Personally, I don't believe Reed Hastings uses heuristics. He's more of an entrepreneur who builds something small and makes it big and sees the bigger outcome in the future. So I believe that Reed Hastings has been working accordingly with this situation and has been doing a good job.
That's interesting. Do you think Reed does a good job with the decisions he makes to build this company?
Yes, definitely. For a decision to be made, there's first has to be a problem. And Reed Hastings has done just that. He has seen that there's a problem with the decision that he made recently and has taken proper action to solve the problem and basically make his customers happier.
All right, well that's all I have. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Feliz Navidad.
Thank you. Next, I met with Mark Musoff, who is a full-time financial analyst and a part-time sweater model. We looked at the quantitative performance of Netflix over the past 5 years. We're sitting down here with Mark, and we're here to talk about the performance of Netflix. Hi Mark, thanks for joining us.
Not a problem.
I like your sweater.
Thank you.
So, let's start with talking about the performance of Netflix before the split. How has the numbers of Netflix subscribers changed?
From mid-2006 to mid-2011, Netflix had very high performance, as reflected by the number of subscribers and the stock price. In 5 years, the number of Netflix subscribers increased by 448%. That's from 5.7 million to 25 million.
Awesome. People really seem to like the convenience of Netflix. Can you tell me about their stock price?
During that same time period, the stock price experienced an even more dramatic change. In mid-2006, the price of one share of Netflix stock was $22.78, and at its peak 5 years later, the price was almost $300. That's an increase of over 1,300%.
Wow, that's great. What do these numbers tell you about Reed Hastings' performance in the past?
Well, combined, these numbers obviously indicate tremendous growth and success, and as CEO and founder, Reed Hastings is directly responsible for most of this.
Okay, now let's fast forward to Reed's recent decisions. How they affected the company's subscribers?
Almost immediately, 800,000 people canceled their subscriptions. Now that's only a 4% decrease, but it's important to note that up to this point, millions of people have been subscribing to the service every quarter.
The falling stock price has also been on the news. Can you expand on how much it's declined? Do you know how much it went down?
Definitely. At its peak, the stock was at almost $300, but today it's down to $64.53. That's a decrease of over 78% in less than a quarter of a year.
Wow, it looks like Netflix has had its ups and downs. Do you think Reed is responsible for all of this?
Definitely. As the founder and CEO of this company, he has a large role in both the rise and fall of this company.
That is true. Well, thanks for your time, Mark. I'm so glad you got to come here.
No problem. Merry Christmas.
You too. Finally, I interviewed prolific author and friend of the show, Daniel Cowell, who literally wrote the book about organizational power in politics. Today we have Daniel Cowell to talk to us about power and politics. Thanks for joining us, Daniel.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I really like your vest.
Thanks. Yours is cool too.
It jingles. Thanks.
It jingles. That's festive.
Okay, let's start talking about the 5 power bases. Can you name them and tell us which are seen in Netflix?
Power bases are coercive, referent, expert, legitimate, and reward. The 3 that are most common in Netflix are reward, legitimate, and expert power, and we see examples of all 3 of those.
I was just about to ask that. Can you share what examples those are?
Well, an example of reward power is how Reed Hastings structures compensation at Netflix. He pays his employees very well. He also lets them choose between stock options and cash, so they can get all stock options if they want. Now, probably not the smartest idea, as you saw the company's performance. But they also get unlimited vacation days, so as long as they get their work done and their expectations are high, they can take as much vacation as they want. So this is an example of Hastings using reward power to get the most out of his employees. Another form of power is legitimate power. So obviously every CEO of a major company like Netflix will have legitimate power. But the question is not whether you have it, but whether you use it effectively. Hastings has used it effectively sometimes. And this is because his senior management team has been with him for over a decade. Everyone except the CFO has been there since the 1990s. So Reed knows his management team really well, and he has power over them, and they respect him, and he respects them. All right, and the final base of power that we see at Netflix is expert power. Hastings has been called a visionary for developing the Netflix business model and the DVD by mail service. He's also a visionary because he sees that the future is in streaming, even though the way he went to it, probably not the best, as you see from the backlash. But Reed is a bright man. He knows a lot about the industry, about the company, about the direction he wants to take the company. He has made a successful company before. He sold a software company for hundreds of millions of dollars, grad degree from Stanford. So he's an expert in the industry.
Those are really good examples. Are there any other types of powers? If so, which ones are they?
Yeah, there's one more main one. It's called information power. So an example of this is when Hastings had information power over his subscribers. When he was first going to split the company up into Netflix and Quickster, he didn't, and raise prices, he didn't give a valid reason to his subscribers why this was happening. So he then issued an apology email and video trying to explain, and he said, I should have been more forthright with the information. So he did have information power too.
A little late though, right?
Yeah, but better late than never.
That's very true. So, does Reed use this power to influence others?
Yeah, he uses inspirational appeals, which is high values and morals. So Reed was in the Peace Corps for 2 years after his undergrad work in college, and being in the Peace Corps for 2 years, it shows that Reed has high values, knows what the right thing to do is.
Oh, that's great. Does he use any other influence tactics?
Yes, he uses rational appeals, so that's using logic and facts. An example of him using this is when he did split the company up and raise prices. When he sent out that email and apology video, he tried to justify the price increase by using facts and using the Netflix business model as logic. It wasn't really effective because he lost a lot of subscribers, but he tried to use it.
Well, A for effort.
Yeah, A for effort indeed. But they also use consultation. So they did this when all the consumer backlash was coming out. Hastings took a step back admitted that the company was trying to move too fast to streaming. So he consulted with his upper management team and decided to bring it back to just Netflix.
Okay, is he able to use his power in the organization?
Yes, he does use a lot of power in Netflix. He is the founder, and he's been there for over a decade. And he has a loyal upper management team, so he can take the company in the direction he wants it. And we've seen this when he wanted to move to streaming quickly. So when Reed wants something to get done, Reed can get it done.
And has this been effective?
When the company is successful, yes, it has, and it's easy to say that. But when the times have been tough, it hasn't been effective because he's been moving too fast. He hasn't taken the time to make sure the consumers are ready to move. So in periods of high growth, it is effective, but when they have high backlash, it's not too effective.
Well, thanks for joining us, Dan.
It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Happy holidays.
Same to you.
Dear Santa, for this Christmas, I would like the force of personal abilities and talent to have profound and extraordinary effect on my followers. Therefore, I want to be a charismatic leader.
And I want to be a servant leader because I want to serve my employees, customers, and the community.
And I want to be as much of an authentic leader as I can to incorporate transformational, charismatic, and transactional leadership according to the situation.
I avoid conflicts by being uncooperative and unassertive. I want to be more compromising, which is much more pleasant and effective.
And I would like to exhibit care and concern for the people and create a comfortable, friendly environment while de-emphasizing the productivity of tasks. Love, the Talking Heads. And that concludes our two-part series about Netflix and Reed Hastings. We've learned about the company's strong adaptive culture, the consistency between personal and organizational values, and how Reed Hastings is highly concerned with both people and results. We've also examined his multiple sources of power and how he uses them, his performance at Netflix, and of course, the ill-fated Quickster announcement. For all of us here at Talking Heads, this is Jim Carney wishing you a good night and a Merry Christmas.